Imagine your marriage healthy, thriving, and fun again. Welcome to the Coach Martez and Woodrina Show, the ultimate power couple helping you with understanding love, accepting truth, and changing perspective. Certified professional life and marriage coach Martez Layton and licensed therapist Woodrina Layton are here to help you step up your game when it comes to marriage, relationships, and so much more. With 30 years of marriage under their belt and a proven track record of mending broken bonds, you can rely on Coach Martez and Woodrina to empower you and your loved ones to have a strong connection for life. The Coach Martez and Woodrina Show starts now.
Happy Wednesday.
Hello,
How's everyone
everyone.
doing? I'm Coach Martez.
And I'm licensed therapist Woodrina Layton.
And you are listening to Coach Martez and Woodrina Layton Show, understanding love, accepting truth, and changing your perspective on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us for the next hour as we discuss and understand about making sure when you're going into a different season of your life and how to start off the new year in a better season.
Yes, and as we do every week, we're looking forward to having an enjoyable conversation around walking out the journey of love, life, and fulfilling purpose as we share with you practical tips, new insights, and perspectives that will help you improve your relationships, communicate better, walk in forgiveness, and just simply love each other better. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, no, that's good.
But before we get started, as always, we want to share a fun fact about ourselves.
Okay.
So since it's the holiday season and, Christmas is approaching, so we're going to just share our favorite Christmas movie. So Martez, what is your favorite Christmas movie?
Right. So for me, when I say favorite, I think about one that's always on,
during the holidays,
that makes me laugh. So I gotta say Elf, because honestly, Will Ferrell is always hilarious. I literally almost know all the lines, and so no, I really like Elf. I really like Elf.
He does. And so for me, my favorite Christmas movie is This Christmas.
Definitely.
Ever since it came out back in 2007, it's just been a holiday tradition. My family knows we're gonna watch this Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on the TV, whether we're in the room, in another room, and it's gonna be on the TV pretty much every day.
Yes, I just love that. I love that movie.
So just with you, if you drop us a line, someone just say like, what's your favorite Christmas movie or holiday movie during this time?
Yes,
definitely. And so let's get into our discussion on how to start the new year off in a better season in your relationship. If you've never really talked about the Seasons of Marriage, it's a book that I highly recommend by Dr. Gary Chapman, The Seasons of Marriage. And this is something that really for us at one time, it really helped to save our marriage because we were in different seasons and really had no understanding of that, but this really changed it for us. And so I just want to share, as we share this about seasons, just always understand there is always hope to change that season.
Yes.
And never feel as if because you may be in a season, whether it's fall or winter, that it can't change. But I just wanted to just share that and just know sometimes people really feel challenged about when it's like, how did we get into this season? And sometimes God actually leads you into seasons which you don't understand, but it has purpose. So I just kind of want to say that as we're getting ready to get started and talking about the seasons of marriage.
Yes, exactly. Because relationships are constantly in a state of transition, continually moving from one season to another. Sometimes couples can find themselves in a winter season, which is feeling discouraged, detached, and dissatisfied. Other times they experience springtime, which is openness, hope, and anticipation. On other occasions, couples are in a summer season with those fuzzy, warm feelings of warmth that bring relaxation, enjoyment, and comfort in life. Then comes the fall season with uncertainty, negligence, and apprehension. And so what we're going to share with you today is, seasons of marriage, as Dr. Chapman discusses it in his book. He talks about how the cycle repeats itself through your relationship, just like it does as far as our seasons of winter, spring, fall, and summer. So we're going to just talk about the different things as far as emotions, attitudes, and actions so that you can understand and recognize what season your relationship is in and how to get it into a good season. You want to be in a better season.
Definitely.
So we're going to start off with winter season. Now, winter can come early in your relationship, or it can come later, or it can just occur many times in between. And so let's talk about some of the emotions that you experience when you're in the winter.
So some of the emotions that you have when you're in the season of winter is you may feel feelings of hurt. You may have anger, disappointment. There could be feelings where you just feel like detached, and it may be feelings of loneliness, you know, because when you think about winter, you think about cold, you think about you needing something to warm you up, you know, and so that's emotionally the way you're feeling is hurt, anger, disappointment, loneliness, and feeling actually as if the person really just doesn't care and they're not showing you. It's like they know you're not feeling good, but it doesn't really affect them in any way. Those are the emotions that you personally feel when you're in the winter season.
And some of your attitudes that you may experience during that season as a result of the emotions that you're feeling is you're feeling negativity, discouragement, frustration, and hopelessness. It's like, you know, you're just negative about your relationship, you're frustrated with everything, and you don't see how it can get better. It's like, I don't know how to get out of this. I can't see it getting better. Those are all attitudes of the winter season in your relationship.
And you know, it's like when they always say, you know, how I say, like, you know, you're giving a person a cold shoulder. You know, so if you and your spouse are giving each other a cold shoulder, you know, you literally know we live in the same house, but I could go without talking to you. You know, although we could have kids, you know, and I may just look at you, hey, you know, or we may not even be speaking, you know, but it's like we're still operating. That's definitely a sign you're definitely in a winter season in your relationship.
And and like you said, those are some of the actions that you see, you know, in that season. Like you said, giving you the cold shoulder and stuff, you know, speaking harshly, even becoming violent. You may find yourself where it's like, man, I never saw myself hitting, you know, throwing my hands at my spouse. But if you're in a winter season, you know, those things can really happen because of the way that you're feeling.
And your words can be destructive. You know, in other words, so, you know, you're tearing a person down, and it's not one of those situations to where you're tearing them down and not really realize what you're saying. When you're in a winter season, I'm tearing you down with my words, and I don't care how much it hurts, and I know that it hurts you. You know, that's when you're really in that season of winter in your relationship, when your words are not only destructive, they are violent in nature. You know how it is, you know, because when you're married, you know, you can say some things that you know when you're saying it, I know how much it hurt them, but it doesn't matter to me because what you say in your mind is, but they deserve it because look at how they hurt me. So when you're constantly going back and forth, just hurting one another with your words, because a lot of times violence doesn't necessarily mean, you know, what we're doing anything physically. Violence can be emotional and verbal. Your words are just crucial. And even in a holiday season, you know, you're actually saying things about a person's family members or other things about people that you know they love or they definitely care a lot about, but you don't mind actually hurting that person with your words, you know, hurting your spouse through using that person's name. That's also a winter season.
Yes, exactly. And the climate in your home and in your relationship during that time is detached, cold, harsh, bitter. Excuse me. You're unwilling to negotiate. It's like, I don't care.
It's no need. We don't need to talk. Why are we going to talk?
It's no need. It's like, I don't even want to negotiate any differences. You know, if you try to communicate, your conversations are going to turn to arguments, and then it's like silence, and it's like no sense of togetherness. So that's how you recognize, you know, if you're in a winter season in your relationship.
And it's very important, as we're talking about seasons, it's also very important to know what season you're in, because again, the thing that saved our marriage when we read this book on the seasons of marriage, it was because I was in one season, but Wadrina was in a total different season. So in my mind, I'm thinking and I'm feeling one way and I'm having actions one way, her actions are totally different. So as we're saying this, if you feel this or you feel like, you know what, that may be, I may not feel that way, but it seems like that's the way my spouse feels, then that actually could mean they could be in a different season than you.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean when we say a winter season in your relationship, you both have to be in this season. Honestly, one of you could be in one season and the other person could be actually in a different season.
Yeah, that is so true. And you identified by the attitudes and the emotions that we just shared.
Exactly.
If you see any of those actions, attitudes, or emotions, then you can identify that your spouse is maybe in that season.
Exactly.
And so if you find yourself in that season, you know, one of the ways that you can change the season is you have to be willing to identify your past failure.
Right. Right.
So you want to be able to acknowledge,
that's a big word.
Yeah. You know, what have I done, you know, to contribute to this? What have I done wrong in the relationship? You know, where have I failed in our relationship? You know, in ways of communication, whatever it may be, nurturing, whatever it may be, like you have to be able to identify the ways that you failed in your relationship.
Right. And also the way you may have hurt your spouse. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times we know when we've said or done something, we just really haven't identified it or acknowledged it, or actually, as we say, gave a heartfelt apology.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you want to do when you identified. You want to be willing to acknowledge, I'm sorry for what I've done.
Yeah. So you want to make sure that it's like you admit to them,
Of
you
course.
know, I've done this. So it's all about like looking within yourself. And, you know, I know we've talked about in previous episodes, it's like not playing the blame game. So if you find yourself in that situation, it's like instead of pointing the finger, look at yourself. Do a self-inspection of yourself and identify, you know, your failures, and then just confess and just admit that, you know, I'm sorry. You know, I've recognized that I've done this. And I mean, that takes sometimes, depending on what's going on, you know, in your relationship, that takes a lot. It takes a big person to be able to be the one to step up and admit that I've fallen short. You know, I admit that, you know, I'm sorry. So, you know, we just encourage you to do that. If you find yourself in that season, you know, you want to make sure that you're forgiving, you know, of your spouse. You want to make sure that you're forgiving them, and you just want to make sure that you're communicating truthfully and honestly, you know, with them.
And I just want to say, on behalf of men, I want to say this to some of the women that are listening or that will have a chance to listen to this, is that I want to apologize in advance for a lot of men, because one of the things men have a very hard problem or very challenging to do is actually acknowledging when they've done something wrong. And so then I can already hear a wife or girlfriend saying, yeah, but he never admits when he's done. You know, it's like his ego won't allow him too prideful to actually just say, I'm wrong. I'm not saying that's all men, but a lot of men find it real hard to acknowledge I messed up. You know, so I just want to say it's definitely not fair to you to always have to be the person that comes first. You know, as men, we want to be able to acknowledge, let me let you know where I've hurt you.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's good right there, because you want to, you know, be able to do that in your relationship. And if you have, you know, any difficulty with being able to, you know, if you find yourself in a winter season and you're having a hard time maneuvering through it, you know, make sure you reach out and get help.
No, you got to get
help. You got to get help. You know, if you all haven't had, you know, proper tools and, you know, in your relationship that you've been using through the years, then you have to get help so that you can learn how to navigate through these seasons, how to navigate and get yourself in a better season. So, you know, you just want to make sure that you're, you know, communicating that.
And then, you know, we'll just say, like, we're talking about these seasons because it's emotional, but think about it from this perspective. Seasons are also physical. So just think about when it's cold outside. If someone really doesn't have on the proper attire to keep them warm, or they're really not doing those things, then just think about how much that hurts them by staying in that weather like that, how it really affects them. So it's the same way in a winter season, emotionally in your relationship. You have to just realize the longer we stay here, the more damage we are doing to each other. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're saying, if you're in that winter season, you definitely want to reach out to get help because you need to be warmed up.
Yeah.
Your relationship needs to be warmed up. You all need to understand how can we change this. So that's what I'm saying. That's very important.
Oh no, that's very important because it's like you said, you're just going to become more bitter, more resentful. So yeah, you just once you recognize it, you do want to do, do the things to get out of it. So, so you have been listening to the Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show right here on Transformation Talk Radio. We're going to just take a quick break, but when we come back,
what's going on, everybody? We're back. You're listening to the Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show. We have been discussing the seasons of marriage and how to start off in a better season in your relationship. Before we left on the break, we were discussing the winter season, and we were just talking about the different seasons of marriage and how it's so important to know what season you are in and actually how to get out of that season. And again, we brought up the point of how I just want people to understand that sometimes God kind of allows you to go through a different season or a certain season in your marriage, in your relationship to help you grow in certain areas. But regardless, there is always hope. There is always a way to change a season in your relationship and in your life.
That's right. That's right. So now let's move into the spring season.
Yes.
Spring is where most relationships begin. We're in the spring season, you're creating a new life together. It's like you just have so much joy and hope. And marriage is not a lifetime of springtime, but you can come back, and forth into the springtime many times in your relationship. You go back and forth out of spring, but spring is not somewhere where you normally just stay and maintain your whole relationship. But because it's so much, the emotions are like excitement, joy, hope, of new beginnings. Like, what are we going to do in our future? It's like, that's that,
it's that new love.
Yeah, that's why I say that new love, that like, ooh, you can't do nothing wrong. Right. You just so perfect,
Look, that reminds me of back when I was in the military, because I actually say, of course we've been married now for over 30 years, but I met with Wadrina back in 1989. And I remember, boy, seriously, I would be at work at 6 a.m. If they say I can get a break, the first thing I'm doing is I'm running to her house. Hey, I'm literally driving during my lunch break. A lunch break. I leave the ship, drive to her house. I just wanted to see you. I just wanted to be with you for these 15, 20 minutes. And then I drive back to work during my lunch break, although I'm going to see her when I get off work anyway. That's that new love. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's that springtime. It is like, now, like, bro, I see you when you get home. It's been 30 years over here.
Exactly. So like we say, your emotions, you just so like, you're full of so much joy. Some of the attitudes of spring is like anticipation, optimism, gratitude, love, and trust. It's like, I'm trusting you now. It's like, shoot, I know, ain't nothing gonna happen in our relationship.
I know how much love you more, love you, and then we talk about the actions of spring, or that spring love, that new love. It's that nurturing, it's that planning, it's that communicating, seeking help when needed, because you just know there is nothing that I want to do to lose you. You know what I'm saying? I can't lose you. So with that springtime love, it's so much nurturing and planning. Are you okay? You make very quick decisions about the other person. If you know that they're in need, you stop what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you're so vitally important to me. That spring love, that's that springtime.
That's that spring love right there. So the climate is, like you said, vital, tender, open, caring. It's like, you just feel so good. Flowers are blooming. Just think about springtime and, and how you feel, in the season, the actual season of spring. Your relationship, you're having some of those same feelings, and that's like the climate of the relationship.
Think about all the colors of spring, the different colors. It's just like everything just has a more vibrant look to it, a bright look to it. It's
like, and like you said earlier, it's like you're communicating. It's like communication is flowing. It's like, it's no blocks in our communication right now. It's flowing because we're just so excited about our life together, and in our plans and our future, and what we hope to do.
Right. And it's one of those things that, we just want everybody to understand. Again, like we said, springtime is a love that you experience, but it's not really a realistic expectation to really expect springtime all throughout the marriage.
That is so true.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's almost as if, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but if you're married to a cheerleader, it's like at some point, I want you to kind of put the pom-poms down. You know what I'm saying? But in springtime, it's like the pom-poms are up, I see you, I thought about it, it's just, I just want you to understand that when we're talking about springtime, it's not something that you really want to just expect for 30 years.
Exactly. You're gonna come in, you
can
experience it, it'll come and go.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not gonna be like a constant. Yeah.
Right. That's realistic, because one of the things also with these seasons is very important to also have realistic expectations during these seasons, because like we just talked about the winter season prior to the first break, but it's one of those things to understand. A winter season, it takes a person time to walk out of that. You see, so I'm just saying that's a real expectation. You can start to work on coming out of that, but just don't have an expectation. Well, we talked about it on Wednesday, so now on Friday all of that should be gone. Well, no, that was a more cold. It takes us a little bit more to warm up and to get a really good understanding. So that's what I'm just saying. It's very important with the expectations around these different seasons in your relationship.
Yeah, to be realistic. So, that was, you talked about winter, we talked about spring. So with fall, fall season represents the deterioration of a relationship. And it's basically due primarily to neglect. You'll begin to feel disconnected, underappreciated, indifferent towards your spouse. And then that resentment starts coming in. If you're experiencing the fall, basically it's like, okay, now we've moved out of, fall comes after summer. We'll talk about summer last, but it's like you moving into that fall season. It's like, when you start neglecting. So that's what you want to make sure that you recognize the emotions of fall, which are fear, sadness, apprehension, discouragement, resentment. You just feeling unappreciated and unloved. So if you're experiencing any of those emotions, then it's like, okay, we got to look at it, because we've been neglecting one another. My spouse is neglecting me, and I've been neglecting my spouse. So we want to make sure that we recognize that.
And again, it's never okay to feel devalued. That's just something, I always tell couples, because I know with Drina and I, we're very transparent in our conversation. We're very transparent in interviews or anything. I always tell people there is no bad question or question that's too hard for us. But because I was one of those people that really devalued my wife a lot, I really underappreciated her a lot. I'm really good at when I hear spouses talk about unappreciation and talk about that. So I just want to say to you, it's never okay to be devalued in your relationship. It's never okay to be unappreciated. It's not okay. That's not something that you can accept. That's something that attention has to be received in that area to get the keys, the information, the knowledge to change that. Because once you start feeling devalued and unappreciated, it really starts going downhill from there. But it's ways that could be stopped. So I just wanted to say that. Never allow that to just become a norm in your relationship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, never allow that. So, you want to make sure that you recognize that those were the emotions. The attitudes are, uncertainty and blaming. The actions are neglect, failure to face issues. And the climate is like we're drifting apart, we're disengaging. In the fall season, couples sense that something is happening, but they're just not sure what is happening. It's like, I'm just feeling like disconnected from him or her, and I just really don't understand like what's going on. So it's like, what is this? So that's when you need to actually be able to go to your spouse and communicate those feelings. It's like we always talk about, every relationship needs to have open and honest communication. And we understand that you have to build to that. A lot of times you don't start your relationship off being able to just really be able to share your heart and be vulnerable with your spouse. But as you all grow, in your love for one another and your love grows deeper, It's like, no, I need to be able to come to you about anything. You know, I'm not gonna hold anything in. I'm just, any weird feelings. Like right now, I'm just not feeling. I ain't feeling right.
Yeah.
Like what are your thoughts right now? You know, that's a question we always tell couples, you know, if you sense a behavior or something that you're not used to seeing, you know, just ask your spouse, what are your thoughts right now? What are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know, because everything starts with a thought.
Definitely. And again, with the fall season, you just really want to be careful, because sometimes what happens in relationship is like during this season, it's just like in a natural season. Like I tell people, honestly, in the physical, fall is like my favorite time. You know what I'm saying? You know, I it's not too hot, not too cold. So it's like, it's really good. So even in your relationship, you know, you don't want to get in a place where fall is not too hot and we're not in winter, so we're okay. But what I'm saying is, in an emotional situation, that's not okay, because emotionally there is some detachment. Emotionally, I'm starting to get into a norm where, you know, if we don't hug or kiss each other before we go to sleep, if there is no intimacy, I'm okay with that. That's on the way to winter. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you really want to be careful, because a lot of times people kind of play around with fall, because it's not winter, it's not summer, but it ain't.
It still doesn't feel good, but it's like they'll get comfortable. Some people can get comfortable in the fall season. And then it's like we said, it's these, you don't fall in and out of these seasons in any particular order. They, you know, it's not any, you could fall in and out of, they don't go in no order. You could go from summer to fall, fall to winter.
And another thing, I know as much as we deal with mental health, when you think about the emotions of fall, sadness, apprehension, discouragement, feelings of being unappreciated, those feelings is what, because you start feeling like that, but then winter comes, that's real depression. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, when you look at the fall season and we've talked about these emotions, that's like going into a depression. And once you stay there, eventually it's full depression. That's winter in a relationship. I just thought about looking at all those emotions and really, that's like getting ready to go into some depression.
That is
so that's why I say that's not a good place to be in the fall.
Exactly. So we have to go and take a quick break. We're gonna come back and finish, you know, our discussion on
the seasons of marriage.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
All right, so we're back on the Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show here on Transformation Talk Radio. And we have been discussing the seasons of marriage and the emotions, attitudes, actions, and climate of each season, that you can recognize which season you're experiencing in your relationship and how to navigate to a better season for the start of the new year, 2022. But before we continue, I want to make sure everyone knows how to connect with us. If you want to connect or work with myself or work with Wadrina, please visit our website at dreambuilderscoaching.net. Also on Facebook, it will be Dream Builders Marriage Coaching and Counseling. We would love for you to connect with us on Instagram. It's at Coach Martez and at Wadrina Layton. On Twitter, it's at Coach Martez and at Wadrina L on Twitter. So we would love to hear any questions, comments, or anything that you have to say. We would really appreciate that. But again, we're just talking about the seasons of marriage, and you know, we just want to say there's always something that you gain. There's always something positive. And we was talking about the fall season, so just something to remember positive and how to exit the fall season. We didn't share that
because you know, if you find yourself in the winter or fall season, like we said, those are seasons you don't want to stay in your relationship because of all of the negative emotions and actions and attitudes of those seasons. But there is hope. Just know there is hope. You go in and out of the seasons. And so ways to exit those seasons would be agree to resolve, you know, as a couple. You know, we have to agree to, like, okay, we want to work on this. So come together and agree to resolve as a couple. You want to make sure that you're renewing we're very spiritual, and a lot of times in your relationship, having a spiritual foundation is really key in you getting through those tough seasons and challenges in your relationship.
Yeah.
So if you find yourself in a winter or fall season, you want to renew your spiritual relationship. You want to begin addressing your issues one day at a time. It's like we can't resolve. We didn't take us a day to get here, so it's not going to take us a day to get out. It's a process. So let's just tackle each issue, one issue at a time, one day at a time. Be patient. You want to make sure you're patient, and you want to be patient. It's like you want to show your spouse how you want to show them what you would want them to show you back in return. So I'm gonna be patient with you, because if I'm struggling through something, I want you to be patient with me. So you want to be patient with each other, and just remember there is hope, and don't ever give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
And so again, like we said, I just wanted everybody to understand sometimes God has purpose in a season. So sometimes God allows us to go through certain seasons to bring us to a different place, to strengthen certain things in our relationship. So when I think about our fall seasons and our winter seasons that we've been through, that's what made our love as strong. So I always tell people, I don't want you to have to go through some of the things that we've had to been through. I really would prefer people to kind of learn from the mistakes of others instead of doing that. But I do want you to understand, sometimes God has you to go through a season to grow in certain areas in your relationship. But there is always hope. There is always the ability to change and realize we can get to a better place. But that God core is very important.
It's just like with life, different things that you experience in life, how they make you stronger. Even in your relationship as a couple, the different things that you go through as you work through those challenges, it makes you stronger as a couple. It makes your love bond stronger, because for us personally, going through the challenges that we've experienced in our relationship has really strengthened our marital bond. So it's like the love we have for each other now, we've never experienced, we've never experienced that before in our relationship. And we know that it's the things that we've gone through and how we just fought through those things, and it made us better. It made us better. It made our relationship better, and it's just strengthened our marital bond.
And I just want to say too, when we're talking about these seasons and the different seasons that we go through, just always remember, it doesn't matter whether you say there's been a cycle, and so in other words, you can't give on hope that it's not going to change, because most of the time, the reason why we're in a certain season is because of what we don't know. And it's because of what we haven't really been shown on how to avoid. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people, most of the time, the biggest weapon or the biggest thing that you're fighting in your relationship is a lack of information. It's a lack of knowledge. It's what you don't know that really hurts you. And so I just want to say, never feel like, well, this has been going on for years. We've been going on. It doesn't matter, because it's when you get the knowledge and the information that helps you to stop doing certain things. So never think that we have to be here or it's not going to change. It can always change.
Exactly. That's so true. That's good. So let's talk about the summer season. The summer season, it represents a period of sustainability in your relationship. It's like, it's sustainable satisfaction. It's like, you're fulfilled, there's a lot of growth in your relationship that is a result of the nurturing, planning, and communicating in the spring. And then, like I said earlier, is a result of even you fighting together and staying together through your winter and fall season. Summer gets you to a place where you're just satisfied, you just feeling fulfilled. It's like that you've grown in your relationship. It's like, when you're in the summer season, misunderstandings and conflict is still going to happen. I mean, we're human, but when you're in the summer season, when they pop up, it's like y'all deal with it quickly. It's dealt with quickly and directly. We don't let stuff linger. It's like when you're in the summer season, you do not let it linger. And honestly, from Dr. Chapman in his book, like he says, summer is where you want to remain. Like he said, this is where
this is attainable.
This can maintainable, right? This is where you want to stay in your relationship in the summer season. So yes, you know, it's fluid. You're in and out of the seasons. You cycle through the seasons, but you want to try to maintain summer as much as possible, because summer, you know, in my opinion, represents a place of maturity, because it's like when those conflicts arise, because they still going to happen. It's like, I'm dealing with it. It's like, it's like, let's talk about this. You know, I can take it. Can you take, you know, we're at a point where we both can take it, because we know we're a team. So it's like, yeah, I know you're not coming at me. Let's talk. You know?
And that's important to know also, you know, when you talk about being in summer, you talk about this time in your relationship, it is important to understand that we built this, you know, because a lot of times you'll see couples look at your children, look at your home, look at the different things that you built. And so that's what happens when you built your relationship. You deserve to experience summer. You deserve to have that satisfaction, that connection, because of all the things we've been through. And especially if we've overcome things with a spirit of transparency, of gratitude and thanksgiving and appreciation for one another, it's real. You can't fake real love. No, I'm gonna just tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I know you may see things on TV or see people, but in all sincerity, you can't fake real love. Real love, it sends something out, because you understand why. Because if you got real love, then you got some real suffering.
Yeah, you done been through some.
You done been through some things. So I'm just saying, you know, when we're talking about these seasons, we also want you to know that, like, again, I said, God allows us sometimes to go through these seasons to learn something from it. But when you get to this summer season in your relationship, that's definitely maintainable. That's definitely something that's durable, because you're actually doing all the things to stay in that place. Yeah,
that is so true. And so, as you mentioned before, emotions of summer are happiness, satisfaction, accomplishment, connection. You know, we just feel, you know, I feel so connected to my spouse. You know, the attitudes of summer are trust, commitment to growth, and you just relax. You know, it's like you're not tense and just on the edge like you are, you know, in fall or winter. It's like, I'm just, in winter you're more detached, but I would say you're relaxed, you know, because in fall you'll be, you know, it's like I'm feeling I'm on the edge.
I don't know. It's like I'm walking the tight walk. That's why I say fall is almost like walking that tight wire. Well, I don't know. It could go either way. I can either come on back in the summer or I can go on over in winter. So that's really what fall, and that's why I say some people like that. Some people can thrive in that type of, you know, but
some people can do it, but I want to be happy. So I want to, you only given one life. I want to be happy. So I got to make sure that I'm communicating. So actions of summer are communicating constructively, accepting differences, and growing as a couple. So you want to actually be attending seminars and reading books and growing spiritually, you know, when you're in the summer season, so that you can maintain it. Because like we said, it's definitely maintainable. You know, the climate of the summer season, like we said earlier, is comfortable, attached, supportive, and understanding. It's like, I know my spouse supports me. I know my spouse understands me. I can share and be vulnerable with my spouse. You know, in this season, the dreams of the spring have actually come true. You know, those
things we believe,
the
things we plan for.
Exactly. You know, couples enjoy a great deal of satisfaction from their accomplishments, and they are resolving conflicts in a positive manner. Like I said, we're human. So the conflicts, they're still going to come up. The disagreement's still going to come up, but it's like, okay, you're at a place where it's like you're so self-aware that it's like, no, I know I'm wrong. Even if, because we're human. So even if you do slip up and you know you say something that you wish you hadn't said, you know, you're going to come back and be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that, because you're just so aware, because you've accepted your differences and you seeking to turn them into assets for your relationships. You're just growing together in a sense of togetherness.
Yeah. You know, and that's why we say, again, with the seasons, it's very important to know what season you're in, and it's very important to know what season your spouse is in, because sometimes emotionally you can be in a different season. And then, so, I could just hear somebody probably saying, so what do you say if your spouse wants to stay in that season, but then you may be in a summer season in your life, but then they want to stay and want to, that's where you got to get some help in that situation. That's not something that you can do on your own.
Yeah.
You got to get some help in that situation.
Yeah.
But again, with each of these seasons that we're talking about, there's definitely hope. There's definitely a way to be in a great season. And that's what we're talking about right now as we get ready to go into the new year, to know, let's start off ready with the summer season in our mindset, because that's what we want to be.
Exactly. That's so good, Coach Martez. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to, wrap up this discussion on the seasons of marriage and how you start the new year off in a better season in your relationship. Definitely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We are back on the Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show here on Transformation Talk Radio. Today, we have been discussing seasons of marriage and the emotions, attitudes, actions, and climate of each season so that you can recognize which season you are experiencing in your relationship and how to navigate to a better season, or as we would say, the summer season to start off the new year. Yes. But actually, we were just talking about summer season, and so we don't have anything to exit summer season, because actually, we really want to stay in summer season, but Wadrina has some tips on how to maintain or how to stay in the summer season.
Exactly. So to maintain summer season, you want to be transparent in your communication. And like I said earlier, you want to make sure you're addressing those issues quickly. Don't sweep stuff under the rug, because a lot of times people will feel like, it bothers me, but I'll let it go. I just totally disagree with that. I totally disagree when somebody will say, it's minor. I'm not gonna worry about it. But if it bothers you, it's really not minor. So if you can say that, if it's something that your spouse may do that doesn't really bother you, you have to be honest with yourself. But if it bothers you, you need to communicate. You got to bring that up and talk about that, because if it's going to snowball. And it's gonna become a major issue.
And let me just kind of bring some clarity to that.
Okay.
So when we say it really doesn't bother me, then this is the question I want you to ask yourself: does it bring you joy? Now that's a question you want to ask.
Yeah.
Does it bring you joy? Because it's one thing to say, you know what, it bothers me that you leave the toilet seat up. But then you say, but I ain't gonna say nothing though, because it really doesn't bother me that much. But then I ask you, but does it bring you joy to put it down? So in other words, when you see the toilet up, you're like, oh, that's okay. I love my husband. He's just such an amazing man. Bam, let me put this down. That's when you can say it really doesn't bother me. But if it does not bring you joy, then trust me, it bothers you. You're just suppressing it.
Yeah.
And so long when you suppress something, eventually you can't suppress it anymore. Think about a closet. You can tell me all day that you just keep throwing stuff in closet. You got so much stuff in your closet that is like, hurry up, shut the door. Because I want to think about why. Because eventually nothing else can get in there.
Right.
That's the way it is when we suppress things.
Yeah.
Emotionally, when you suppress things, eventually it's going to get to a point that you can't suppress it anymore. And that's when we get the rage, the anger, these other things. Or you go into the winter season and it's like,
Yeah. And that's when stuff happens and it's like your spouse blows up and you like, well, man, where did that come from? That's because of all that stuff you just swept under the rug.
So don't just say, well, it's not really, it doesn't really bother me. The next question is ask yourself, does it bring me joy?
Exactly. That's good. That's great, Coach Martez. And then the next tip is communicate effectively by speaking assertively and using active listening. So you want to make sure that, you're communicating using I statements. You want to make sure that you're, I feel instead of you. You don't want to be always pointing to your spouse, you this, you that. No. If it's something that bothers you, I feel, that, you just got to be honest and start with, and make sure you're using I statements and you're not just always casting blame, even though they may be doing something that's criticized, that you want to criticize them about. You want to start it off with with an I statement and how to make you feel if they actually change that behavior. You want to learn to speak your spouse's love language daily. Now, this will be another show, talking about love languages. So if you've never heard of love languages, that's another book by Dr. Gary Chapman. We have this whole library basically because they're really great tools for relationships. But you want to make sure you're speaking your spouse's love language. So if you don't know what your spouse's love language is or what your own love language is, I would encourage you to go to the number 5 lovelanguages.com and take the little assessment that he has.
We haven't talked about love languages on here yet.
We haven't talked about love languages.
Yeah, you gotta do that one.
Yeah, so you want to make sure that you're speaking that daily to your spouse, as far as maintaining the summer season. You want to be intentional about scheduling date nights, and spending quality time together. Because a lot of times, even now with the holiday season, it's like you're just so busy running around doing all this stuff.
And let me just say this also, not only because I can understand now because COVID kind of transitions everybody. Yeah. So what we also need to understand, not only date night, you may need to do date day. You may need to have your intimate moments during the day, because if this is when your kids are at school, this is when they're gone. Honestly, you may have to go back to like during that springtime. During springtime, you'll take that break, to get you some during lunch. I'm just saying, even now with COVID and other things, during this time, you may have to realize, we may need to just take a break during the day and meet each other back at home, because that evening we're not going to have time. And when everything is done, we're tired. So I'm just saying, not only date night, but we need to do some date days and even some intimate moments during the day. Everybody not empty nesters like us, which we absolutely enjoy. I just want to tell you, we do. Yeah, you get that one. That's what happens when you've been married for long. Then they go out and you got their freedom. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, we love it. So you want to make sure you're being intentional about, you all connecting with one another and be creative, like you were saying. Day. Yeah, like you said, it's COVID, so you got to be creative with stuff. You want to make sure that you choose a winning attitude. Do not allow negative emotions to dictate your behavior.
Right.
And you want to discover the joy of helping your spouse achieve their dreams.
Definitely.
You want to, work as a team and achieve our dreams together.
And so then we never can leave an episode or leave one of our shows without talking about the Married for Life Walk, that we want to invite everyone to join us. This is going to be our 5th year here in Atlanta in ATL, April 22nd, 23rd. So of course we have our founding members with us, Ronnie DeVoe, Shamari DeVoe, that's been with us from the beginning doing this thing. We have a great team and other people that are going to be joining us, but definitely find out more about the Married for Life Walk at married4lifewalk.com. And we're going to probably spend an episode just talking about the Married for Life Walk and actually have some people that have attended to actually talk about it. Wow, we got another show. Okay, so then also on social media, don't forget to follow us at Coach Martez, Wadrina Layton, and then as far as on Twitter, Coach Martez, Wadrina L. And then again, dreambuilderscoaching.net. What we do for a living, professional coaching, licensed therapists. We work together with couples. We work individually. But again, just thank you so much for joining, listening to the show. Bam.
And then I want you always to remember, what we always say, our motto: healthy marriages do not happen by chance, but by choice. So you have to be honest with yourself and be willing to be held accountable to the things that your partner may say to you without giving them back judgment or pushback. Just make a commitment to accept change without conflict. You have to make a commitment to just start looking within and doing some self-inspection, because we all, we have to grow and be better.
Right. And as I told one of my couples today, always remember, don't use the word try, but make a commitment to start saying, I'm going to commit to this.
Yes, I commit.
Yeah.
That's right. We say X out, try.
Right.
It's like we commit to being better.
Mhm.
So, Martez and I want to thank you
Thank you
all
all so much.
for tuning in to the Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show. We had a wonderful time as always.
Team McGregor.
We just want to make sure, Team McGregor is always listening. So we got to shout out Team McGregor
White,
and Team White.
Dallas, Texas.
Yep, they always listen too. So you please join us every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and 12 p.m. Pacific. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So, connect with us, on social media. We love reading the comments, send us emails, questions, Coach Martez loves them questions. No question, he love all them questions. So he really does. So have a wonderful week, and we just look forward to seeing you back here the next time.
Happy holidays, Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton show, Transformation Talk Radio. Let's go.
Thank you for tuning in to the Coach Martez and Wadrina Show on Transformation Talk Radio with certified professional life and marriage coach Martez Layton and licensed therapist Wadrina Layton. Understanding love, accepting truth, and changing perspective. Coach Martez and Wadrina Layton have been working with owl-bound couples to strengthen their relationships for the betterment of their lives for 20 years, and it is in their divine role in life to do so. For more information or to schedule an appointment with Coach Martez and Wadrina, go to dreambuilderscoaching.net. That is dreambuilderscoaching.net.